Hi. I want to talk about radiator costing and how much it is to install radiators. And this is mainly for um, the customer side of it, because a lot of customers, I'm sure, are thinking, well, how much does it cost to install a radiator? Um, and that answer to that is it really does depend. This is why I've got this rad here, an example of it. I'm gonna go through with you so that you can understand why it costs X amount for this and Y amount for something else. Now, when you're installing a radiator, you have to understand that there's water in the radiators, and in order to install it, you have to take the water out of it. So, if we're starting at the cheapest costing of a radiator to be installed, we're looking at basically a like for like. So that's a radiator that's existing there. The size is exactly the same. Pipework marries up beautifully to it. We drain your system down, we remove that radiator, we get a new radiator, we install it without really altering the pipes. Now, the cost of that varies, but that's basically your starting amount. Now, if you look at a cost of that, I mean, don't hold me to this, but every plumber is different. Every gas engineer is different. You really want someone who's gas qualified to be able to drain your system down, because filling up the system on the older styles, like a conventional system where you've got tanks in the loft, can be a bit more temperamental. So if you not know what to do, you might have you might struggle with getting water back into it, not having airlocks and things like that. So, gas plumbers, gas engineers, they charge different prices. I mean, if you're looking at a good gas engineer who's self-employed, who's been doing this for 20 odd years, really you're kind of ballpark figures, anything between 350 pounds to about 450 pounds a day. Okay, so a good gas engineer is going to price up with those figures in mind. Yeah, plus due to how technical a thing is. So if you could imagine, if a gas engineer is going to spend half a day, be expected to pay around about 200 odd pounds labour, to do a job like that. So if we're looking at the radiator to be taken off the wall, put back on, I think 250 pound is a fair amount to charge for that sort of job. But then it starts, getting complicated from there on out. It starts going up from there. So let me explain. If we have to alter pipe work, so if the customer says, I want my pipes in a different place, yeah, then that's going to cost more money, because we have to then not only just remove the water, but make the pipe work bone dry so that we can weld it. Because if there's any water in the pipes, you cannot weld the pipe. Any plumber will tell you that. Right? Some plumbers use plastic fittings, whatever. There's no real right or wrong way of doing it. I prefer to weld, just because I think it's a bit of a dying art. Then we talk about designer radiators. Now, this is where this kind of little clip is about. It's these suckers. They look beautiful, right? Now, at the moment, it's on the back of a wall here, which I'll explain why it's done like this. Now, generally speaking, I see all the time couples walk into a shop when I'm buying something from the merchant, and they go, "Oh, that's lovely! Oh, it's a lovely radiator! Oh, how much is that radiator?" And they think it's going to be pennies to install. Trust me, let me tell you now, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, chances are it's going to cost more money to fit a radiator like this properly than it is you purchasing this radiator. That for sure, so prepare yourself for that. Now I'll explain to you why. When you have a radiator like this, which weighs in excess of, and this one in particular is a 3-column, 1.8 meter high, big designer radiator that looks beautiful, absolutely hits, sets off a room, and it looks amazing, yeah? It's going on timber framework. You cannot put this radiator on plasterboard. Plasterboard is this stuff here. This is plasterboard. You cannot put it on here. 50 kilos very easily will break. This will not hold. Yeah? It will not hold. So remember, customer, this is a message for you. if you want to buy this radiator, ask yourself, what wall is it going on? Is it going on brick wall? Is it going on plasterboard? If it's going on plasterboard, it will not work unless you remove the plasterboard and reinforce it at the back here. As you can see here, there's a wooden frame that is screwed onto the joist. That is where my clip is going to go onto. That is what will give this radiator the support it needs to hold its weight. If not, what will happen is it will fall off the wall. God forbid, if you have a little child that's pulling on a radiator or messing around with it, if this falls on a young toddler, it is going to be a very, very bad scenario. Trust me, yeah? So it needs to be well supported. So that is a cost. That is something that the plumber will come and go, madam or sir, we cannot put this on this wall, as beautiful as this radiator is, until the back of it is reinforced. Then you have to get a plasterer in, a decorator in. You can see how much the costs now pile up, right? So this becomes not just a visit. The plumber has to drain your system down. He has to get his pipe work prepared. He has to get the walls reinforced. Then the plasterers come back. They do the plastering. They do the painting. Then the plumber comes back to install it and drain your system down again. Because if it's the winter time, you know, you're not going to want your heating to be off for the duration. The guy has to drain it down, then fill it back up, then drain it down, install a new rad, then fill it back up, right? Now your costs are really mounting up. Don't be surprised, some plumbers charging in excess of about anything between £500 to £800. Do you know what I mean? For a radiator like this to be installed. So think about it before you get radiators like this. Let me explain to you as well. I'll take the radiator off the wall so that I can show you a bit better. Bear with me, these things do weigh a ton. And I'm relatively strong. So you can see how much weight there is being held on here. Okay, so I'm gonna bring the camera over here now. Bear with me, I'm not a professional at this. Now, this is what I've got here. I'm gonna flip the camera around even better, which I can't, sorry. So, what I've done here, I've got two pieces of wood, which I've made the perfect holes for to bring it out, yeah? Because what that allows, this allows these radiators, these are known as corner valves, okay? They're very pretty, they hide the pipework, so you don't see the pipework going down. What you see is the pipework like that. Now imagine that pipe's cut off and the radiator's on the wall, yeah? This is what you see, a nice flush piece of valve like that going out, and this pipework gets cut back, you right? This is a nice, neat way of doing the job, right? The pipework is straight and solid. I've got a little hole through the wall, big enough where it can breathe, because the worst thing that can happen is a piece of wood that's touching against a pipe, because when heat runs through it, it expands. And I don't know if you've heard that little click, 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 click sound. That's basically the pipework pushing up against the wood and expanding. It's the click sound. It drives people absolutely bonkers. That's what that sound is, right? So make sure there's enough give there for movement. I put some silicone around here as well. My plasterboard then goes on this. It gets skimmed. It gets painted, right? Then my radiator goes and I cut these pipes down to size and it's fitted. And once it's fitted, I want to leave it well alone. I don't want to take that off until I'm having to refurb the whole building again, all right? Which will be in a long time. So this is the costing of radiators. I hope someone that is watching this, because as a plumber, as a gas engineer myself, it is a bit of a pet hate when a customer responds with, it's just putting a radiator on the wall. Yeah, it's just putting a radiator on the wall, but to do it properly, you can see what's involved. It's the same with vanity units in bathrooms. You know, people think a vanity unit, that's why a plumber's going to say, what are you having in there? Are you having a pedestal? Are you having a vanity unit on the floor? Are you having a vanity unit off the floor? What toilet are you having? One that's on the floor, back to wall, off the wall? All this sort of stuff plays a difference, because trust me when I tell you, I've had to hang this vanity unit here about 6-7 times to get these pipe works bang in place, because this pipe work here is a precisionally put waste pipe. If I put it anywhere here, it's not going to work, because it's not going to fit behind the unit, right? And you see people chop vanity units down and smash through top, nightmare. This is why things cost what they cost. Yeah? If you're having a nice designer radiator like the one I've explained here, expect to pay 3-4 times more than you would do from a standard one off, one on, same size, no pipes altering. I hope that explains a little bit into costing of radiators and why some radiators cost more than others. I hope you can now have a bit of an understanding into the work involved to get it installed for you correctly and well, and the time it takes. Plumbers, gas engineers work on time. The longer it takes to do a job, the more money it's going to cost. Okay? So next time a plumber walks into your house and say, madam or sir, it's going to cost this much, try to understand where we're coming from. We're not looking to, not all of us anyway, are not looking to rip you off. All right? We're looking to explain to you why it's going to cost X amount more than it would do. And if anyone tells you they're doing it cheaper, be very wary, because number one, they're not going to do it properly. Impossible to do it properly, right, on a cheap price. And number two, they may not have anticipated what's involved. And the worst case scenario will be they walk into your house, they start doing the job, then they explain to you, madam, it's actually going to cost this much more, not the one that I told you over the phone. Then you start having a conflict and it becomes an issue. Yeah, but you're kind of bent over a barrel a little bit because that person's in your house and he's already left you in the middle of a job, right? So, you want to make sure you know what's involved, what it's going to cost. Yeah, there is sometimes, you don't know what's behind the walls. When you lift the board up, when you lift the plasterboard back, you might go, actually it's rotten, there's this problem, that problem. All that stuff you have to be aware of as well. But any good engineer is going to pull you up and visually show you what he's dealing with so that you can have an idea of, well, now I know why the cost is a little bit more money. So I hope this explains it. If there's other things you want to know about, I've been doing this bloody job for 23 years. I know the ins and outs of it. I don't do bathrooms. I'm mainly a gas engineer. But if you have any questions that you want to ask me, I will do my best to answer it and try and explain why it is the way it is, or how it works, or things like that. Yeah. I hope this has been useful for you. Good luck. Thank you. Bye.